The Mandalorian, whose name is Din Djarin, is your iconically cool, flawed, mysterious loner, gunslinger that harkens to the, best of the samurai movies and the westerns. And in talking to John, I asked him what I be looking at. I know he loves movies. I love movies. What would you like me to watch? I asked him, and he immediately brought up Sergio Leone and Akira Kurosawa, Yojimbo, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And he's very samurai, Clint, and me.
The show, to me, in the most basic storyline, is about a man who's been following a way of life and has that way of life sort of upended by the introduction of the baby. And it sort of changes his life, and I think he's reevaluating his priorities and what means something to him in his life in the world. So I think it's really sort of about a man discovering something about himself that he had never known until he met the child.
The Mandalorian, it's interesting. I mean, we all know the helmet, but the helmet is Boba Fett. And that was a big challenge in the beginning of this. And John and I went round and round like, well, how do we tell the story? And it's not Boba Fett, or is it Boba Fett? And we would talk about that. And, but a helmet at the end of the day is a helmet. And I've shown that helmet quite a bit on Rebels and Clone Wars. But to the average person, if you show them that helmet, if they say anything, they'll say it's Boba Fett. So we immediately started to draw visual, differences between the two characters. Our character is much more bulked up than Boba ever was. His armor is actually quite different if you look at it. His helmet's actually different, little different traits to it. The colors of it, all these things point out at little differences. There are similarities, which are almost unavoidable. But we wanted to tell a story with somebody where we had kind of more of a blank page to write it.
And the tone of this series, which I find is a little bit more Empire Strikes Back and a bit grittier and edgier Star Wars, I realized, wow, these are personal conflict and personal journey and personal relationships. It reflects so much what our actual reality as human beings on this planet is. I love the opportunity to make him as human and as accessible as possible, which is strange to say because it's impossible to get to him because he's covered in armor. He's relatable. We're all kind of covered in our own armor, and terrified of taking that armor off. And that's the thing that crosses him over into a character that we're all going to really want to follow.